And this is a simple one. Can we request a para to begin class with our son instead of placing him in special education? Absolutely, you can. And if your son doesn't have any behaviors that would, and I'm not going to say, I'm sure that he has behaviors that impede his learning, with regards to subtle redirection, things of that nature, but it wouldn't be something that would justify removing him from that environment without first exhausting push-in services like a paraprofessional to help with that area. But if your son's not throwing stuff, not beating people, whatever, then I'm telling you, the only other justification they can sit there and try to pull is that, he's severely cognitively disabled. And even in that realm, that gets real dangerous for a school to sit there and use that card to prevent a child from having full access to the maximum extent appropriate, is what the law says with regards to LRE in general education. To the maximum extent appropriate. Now, that's fraught with a lot of ambiguities. That's why lawyers exist, to sit there and argue what is maximum extent appropriate for that particular child. And you'd have to break that down. You'd have to make that argument. But we make that argument all the time. But the science supports for Down syndrome as much general education exposure as possible. And so when a school system wants to pull a child out because they go, he or she is on a third grade level with regards to reading and math, what if he didn't have Down syndrome? I have a client now in, I'm not going to say which state, but where they have her sitting in an 11th grade class, and she has dyslexia, and she's reading at a 4th grade level. Why isn't she in a self-contained class? Because she has dyslexia. And they're using the Down syndrome as the justification to remove him, even though he is at a comparable level with my client that's sitting in an 11th grade class and not getting any reading support, and it's not making any progress for 5, 6, 7 years. But you see the mistreatment based upon diagnosis. But that's ridiculous, and schools shouldn't be doing that. They can modify the coursework. They can support him in the general education setting. Now, if you're telling me, I think what you're saying is that he starts school out in the special education classroom, and if that's his homeroom, then that sort of tells me that they also have his LRE screwed up, because the homeroom will typically clue me in as to what your child's least restrictive environment number is. And if it's special education first, and you have a special education teacher instead of a general education teacher first period, well, that usually tells me everything I need to know with regards to the child's placement number in as far as least restrictive environment. They used to do it at the prior school, so am I to assume that you transitioned up to the next grade school? And at that point, yes, we have a lot of problems in those areas too. To where they're just, and if this teacher is mistreating your son, yelling at him, mocking him, calling him lazy, I hope that your meeting with the superintendent went well. You'll have to let me know how that happened. Let me know where you live, because this is not right what they're doing to him, and this can be undone, and this can be corrected, but you're going to have to push back, and it may be through due process in order to get it done, unfortunately. Because I don't know if you can sit there and negotiate, because so many schools are just sort of dead set in the older children get it, that they're not making improvements, and we're not getting their issues fixed down in elementary school, and even some tolerance in middle school. By the time the kids get into high school, they're just not interested in supporting them. they want to hide them in corners, and they want to put them in the self-contained environments, and make them comfortable, have them do baby work. I've had many situations to where I have a bunch of grown kids in there between the ages of 14 and 21 watching Barney and Dora the Explorer all day. The indignity of it, but unfortunately, this is one of these things to where you need to draw a line.